Welcome to 2230. Imagine this, in the early hours of November 7th, while most of us were still in bed, nature unleashed its unstoppable fury. A series of explosive eruptions shook Mount Lewatobi Laki-Laki in Indonesia, sending towering ash clouds over 8,000 meters into the sky. It was a breathtaking and terrifying sight, a stark reminder of the unpredictable power of our planet. But the real question is, what happens to the thousands of people whose lives have been thrown into chaos because of this sudden disaster? The story begins with a minor but powerful eruption just before midnight on November 3rd. At first it seemed like one isolated event, but that was just the beginning. Mount Lewatobi Laki-Laki had other plans, erupting 8 more times, with smaller eruptions causing unimaginable damage. The tragic death toll currently stands at 9 people, with 64 others injured. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. With each new eruption, the number of those affected grew, and the aftermath paints a picture that is both haunting and captivating. Over 5,800 residents of the surrounding 16,000 have already been evacuated, but the reality is that many still remain, uncertain of what their futures hold. And as we continue, let me ask you, what would you do if your home was covered in ash or devastated by volcanic debris? It's hard to imagine until it's real, but for those living near Mount Lewatobi Laki-Laki, this nightmare is their reality. More than 2,000 homes were destroyed, and entire villages covered by thick layers of volcanic ash have turned vibrant neighborhoods into ghostly wastelands. Can you imagine a school playground transformed into craters up to 13 meters wide and 5 meters deep, created by falling volcanic rocks? This is the level of destruction we're talking about. As officials inspect the area, the dangers are only becoming more evident, and that's why the Indonesian government has taken the step to raise the alert level to the highest possible, declaring a 7-kilometer exclusion zone. The sheer scale of destruction really makes us rethink how we live with nature's raw power. But it doesn't end there. In the early hours of November 7th, the mountain roared once again, and even louder this time. 2 consecutive eruptions in quick succession at 12:40 a.m. and just 2 hours later filled the skies with an enormous red column of lava, a scene both beautiful and horrifying. 5 more eruptions followed that morning, ending with a massive column of ash rising 8,000 meters high. This isn't just a local disaster, it's something that could affect climate, health, and infrastructure across the region. But with every disaster comes the response. The government of Indonesia has started taking critical steps to settle those who have been displaced, but the task is monumental. Imagine thousands of families, mothers, children, elderly people with no homes, uncertain about where to turn. Mr. Suharyanto, head of Indonesia's disaster agency, is optimistic that the new homes for these evacuees could be completed within 6 months. But in the meantime, we need to think, what happens until then? How do families survive the uncertainty, and will they ever truly recover from such devastation? So viewers, I want to know, what are your thoughts on this disaster? How can we as a global community support each other when natural forces like these take control? Do you think governments are doing enough to prepare for and prevent disasters like this, or is there much more work that needs to be done? If this story has moved you, make sure you hit that like button and share this video. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to 2230 to stay updated on these critical global events. We bring you detailed coverage so you can stay informed on what's happening around the world. We also want to hear your voice, so drop a comment below. How do you think the residents of Mount Lewatobi Laki-Laki will recover? Let's discuss what we can learn from this disaster and how we can do better moving forward.